Has this ever happened to you?
I think today I will play a hot minor pentatonic lick with alternate picking, yes. Alright kids, let's go check this shit out. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Let's change directions. Up, down, down? Up, down? What has happened? My picking has been reversed. This is a catastrophe. No!
Shredding your way through hot minor pentatonic licks is hard as hell when your picking's a flipping and a flopping around. But lucky for you, you're about to learn my trick for quick minor pentatonic position shifts to get your picking back on the right track. Hey there kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. Back in my young days as a shred-eye knight apprentice, I always found it very frustrating that whenever I was alternate picking my way through the minor pentatonic scale, certain things were really easy to play, but the minute that I made the wrong move, the picking would invert itself and the lick would become impossible. Most players have encountered exactly what I'm talking about simply by practicing the minor pentatonic scale up and down straight through like this. Down, up, 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 down. The picking on the way down was completely inverted from what we played on the way up, and that makes things more harder. But thankfully, life doesn't have to be that hard, and you can learn how to strategize your licks and utilize other positions of the minor pentatonic scale. That way you can effortlessly change positions, keep your picking straight, and play stuff that you never thought would be possible. Now, before we get you guys slipping and sliding all over that fretboard, we gotta hear that lick again at stepdad speed. Always full tabs and charts, as well as a slew of bonus guitar lessons, backing tracks, and so much more are available to everybody who supports my channel over at patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars, the coolest place on the internet. This week I'm also uploading a very special Patreon-only bonus lesson to go along with this one to show you guys how you can use this concept to take your minor pentatonic playing even further. All those things and more are available to everybody who supports my channel at patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. Thanks. Okay, so this lick that we're going to be talking about today uses 3 different positions of the A minor pentatonic scale. The first one is the one that you probably already know. The one that we're going to dip down into below it is the 5th position of the minor pentatonic scale. It looks like this. And the other one that we're going to move into whenever we shift up the neck is the one that a lot of people would recognize as the major pentatonic scale, or simply the 2nd position of the minor pentatonic scale. Keep in mind that those 3 boxes are just 3 different ways of saying the same thing. A, C, D, E, G, A. So over the years in my own playing, I've noticed that whenever I play through minor pentatonic stuff, as long as I'm playing down, up on every string, the sky's the limit. Everything's super easy for me to play when I do it that way, because I kind of play with that downward pick slanting kind of angle to my picking right there. I've talked about that in a lot of other videos, but you'll notice how my upstroke kind of pops out of the strings. That means it's easy for me to change strings after upstrokes. Lots of players play this way. Joe Bonamassa, Zakk Wylde, Eric Johnson, the list goes on and on. So basically whenever I'm playing through minor pentatonic stuff, I notice that as long as I can keep that down, up, change, momentum going, I can play anything that I want to. It's whenever I hit that snag of like a single downstroke on a string and then have to reverse directions or something and the picking inverts itself, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's usually what slows me down, and it's also what I've seen slow down a lot of other players too. So what I started doing a couple of years ago is following the advice of the master himself, Steve Vai, and playing to my strengths. You know, my strength is changing strings after down ups, right? So why not just figure out ways that I can take advantage of that as much as I can? And that's what brought me to some of the principles that we're going to be talking about today. Let's start off with just a simple example of what we're going to be talking about. Let's say I was wanting to play a lick where I walked up the first 3 strings of the minor pentatonic scale and then walked back down the scale. So it sounds something like this. Now at slow speeds that's not too bad, but if I get that up to tempo, it starts fighting me a little bit because the picking there would go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Again, there's that reversal of the picking that I try to avoid in my own playing. And of course there's tricks to avoid stuff like that. I could play down, up, down, up, down, up, pull, then get back to down, up if I wanted to. But maybe I just want that vicious sound of pure alternate picking and every note being struck with the pick. Here's a different way that I could play that phrase in order to keep my picking from getting flipped around. Check this out. I'm gonna play down, up, down, up, down, up. Do you notice how my first finger shifted a position right there? Down, up, down, up, down, up. That shift puts me into that second position of the scale, the C major pentatonic scale. And that means what I could do is like this. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's the exact same notes as this, but without the annoying flip in the picking. Now to a lot of players that might find that more difficult because of all the position shifts and stuff like that, but you just gotta, choose your battles, pick your poison as it were. And for me, dealing with the left hand shifting positions like that is easier than wrestling with the right hand, so this is the path that I've chosen to go on to play licks like this. It's also great too because it gets me out of just playing up and down one scale box. It makes me look around the neighborhood of the fretboard that I'm in at that time, find the next scale position up that I'd be thinking about, and play down it rather than simply go back the way that I came. So as I started playing licks like this, I found that I could, for one, just play them better, but it also really expanded my view of the fretboard and how all those different minor pentatonic shapes link together. Notice that as I did that shift, it wasn't a slide like this. It was just a deliberate, quick shift. Down, up, down, up, down, up. One finger playing 2 different positions like that. Be sure to make that easier for yourself by keeping a loose grip with your thumb on the back of the neck. So basically the concept behind what I was doing there in the intro lick is that every time I'm trying to change directions and go from ascending to descending through the scale, rather than simply backing up and going the way I came, what I'm doing is I'm shifting up into the next position of the scale, which is sure to, realign the picking back into that down-up orientation that I favor. This works both ways. I can either go from descending to ascending with position shift, or up to down with position shift. Either way is fine. So what I did to start that lick off with is to play up the first 4 strings worth of the A minor pentatonic pattern, the first position, like this. So I've walked up 8 notes of the scale. At this point I wanted to change directions. I wanted to hear this E note and then walk down some, but again that would involve the dreaded pick flip. So what I decided to do instead is get to that E note instead by a position shift, getting into that second position, the C major pentatonic scale, like this right here. See the position shift off the 3rd finger that I did right there. Then I'm free to walk down this scale. And again, the picking there has just been down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Now after this, I'm gonna jump back into the first position that we learned, and I'm gonna play up the scale starting from the A string. So I'm gonna play like this. So I was playing all the way from the A to the high E of the scale pattern. So far we should have this. Shift, shift. Now at this point I'm going to once again shift down off of my 3rd finger and play down that 5th position minor pentatonic scale. It's gonna sound like this. Okay, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Good symmetrical picking right there. Shift, shift, shift. And as you play down that, feel free to just use your 3rd and 1st if you want to. I would definitely play it that way, especially if I was playing up high. Some of you guys might have to use your 4th finger like I did a second ago. If you want to do it that way, that's fine. But if you want to play it with your first and third, I'm not about to call the pinky police on you. If it works, it works. So after we played on that position, that was the last note that we played down there, right? The E note on fret number 2. Using that finger you just used, jump back into your first position minor pentatonic scale at the 5th fret. Now what we're going to do here is to play up 4 strings worth, so from the D to the high E. Okay? Now after we end up on this high C note, what we're going to do is jump up into that next scale position. We're going to play down the scale right here for 4 strings. And then just to wrap things up all nice and tidy, we're going to end on the root note A, which we can find on the 10th fret B string. So all together it's going to sound something like this. Here's our first shift. 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 And wrap it up. And again, if you're doing that right, all the picking is just down, up, 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 and guess what? Down to wrap it up. Which for my own personal playing style is infinitely easier than trying to navigate a brutal series of different, pick slants and stuff to make my way through that if I was playing it in one scale position. That's the right thing for me, but maybe it's not the right thing for you. So in the tabs, I've also included an alternate way to play this without all the position shifts. I find it like pretty much impossible to play anything beyond, stepdad speed, but it sounds something kind of like this. I find especially the front half of that lick to be so much harder if I try to play it that way with all those just, single dangling notes happening on those strings, which makes me invert the picking over and over and over through there. Maybe if I was playing it really slow, I might play it that way if I just like the sound of it better, But if I'm in like shred kill zone mode and I'm just going for blood and I'm trying to play it as fast as I can, I would play it with those position shifts 100% of the time. Like I said, by learning how to use all those different shapes of the minor pentatonic scale, those just become a normal part of your playing, and you start covering the neck a lot more than you would if you were simply playing up and down one scale box all the time. Now, as I've been making this video, I've felt my Uncle Ben sense tingling, and I know that somebody in the comments is already typing up that you should play stuff that challenges you, And if the minor pentatonic with the flipping picking stuff is chewing me up, that's the stuff I should be practicing, not just playing to what is easy for me. And I do agree with that to an extent. If you just play what comes naturally to you and what's super easy for you and never challenge yourself, yeah, you'll never progress as a player. But I also think that there's something very important about knowing your strengths as a player, especially if it's in, the heat of battle and you find yourself on stage and somebody's put a guitar in your hand and, it's time to shine. It's good to know what you can do well. And I know that when I phrase things in the way that we talked about in today's video, I can play that stuff easy and effortlessly, so I've always got it in my back pocket. And I am still working my way through being able to play licks like that without the position shifting and dealing with the weird picking and stuff like that. But I think there's a certain confidence boost that you have when you know I can nail it if I do it this way, but let's go ahead and explore it, this other way, just so I can expand and grow as a player. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with, just combining a couple different minor pentatonic scale patterns. And again, just shifting up or down a position anytime that you want to change directions in a scale. You could do this an infinite number of ways. Even if you're just doing something like this, like maybe I'll start off by walking up. I'll shift up. And maybe I'll shift down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up. You get the idea. The sky's the limit, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with your playing if you utilize this position shifting technique in your minor pentatonic playing. Thanks as always for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for new content coming at you every single week, and ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. If you like these pentatonic tricks and want to add more to your arsenal, be sure to check out the pentatonic playlist that should be on the screen at some point right now. I've got a whole bunch of different Weekend Wankshop episodes with cool minor pentatonic ideas that you should try out and add to your repertoire of hot pentatonic licks. Well guys, it's been fun as always, but it's time for you to get away from the computer and go play the guitar. Less clicking, more picking.